that was the one thing Neville stressed constantly. Open it and quicken it. Because if you don't, it's gone. Wouldn't you say?
I would say. And, you said, think upon it, meditate upon it, go into the silence. Each one of us, we're all given to know Father. Many of us are chasing the promise, but the promise is simply that, realizing that the kingdom of God is within you. It's all the stuff that follows, all the signs that follow, the manifestations that Neville talked about, they come. But first and foremost, it's just realizing that Father, Source, Infinite Intelligence, Mother God, whatever you want to call God, is within you.
That's right. That's what I call it. But people ask me, what do you call God? Call him God. All things to all. The only thing there is God. The rest of it is all just what God is doing through you, through your choosing this day. And the question is, choosing what? Actually, are we paying attention to what we're actually thinking feelingly about? Because remember, you're praying ceaselessly. Yes, without stopping. All the time. You're on all the time, so therefore you're praying all the time. Is what you're thinking feelingly about, saying to yourself, suggesting to yourself, lovely and a good report? And if not, why not? Because that's what you want to experience, then that's what you have to come forward with. Claiming. You have to show up and claim what it is you say you want, because actually you are showing up and claiming. But what? What is it that you're claiming? Because as you're thinking feelingly, that is what you're claiming. And make no mistake about it, it's always you. It all comes back to you. All of Scripture is about you. I am with you always. I will never leave you. Omnipresent. What more do you need to know? That it?
That's it. So I want to even wrap some of that up. As I will often say, from Genesis to Revelation is your story. But when you're thinking about revision, when you're thinking about living from the end, all of this stuff is about you thinking appropriately to what it is that you want in your life. Mr. Lindell will often just wrap it up and say, think lovely and of good report. Whatever you want to call it, all the teachings of Neville, it's about you thinking purposefully on what it is that you want to create in your life. Once you begin doing that, you will begin living heaven on earth.
That's it. And if you're told to bring heaven on earth, then it must not be heaven. What's left?
Most of us can attest to the hell that we're experiencing. And again, it's a virtual reality. So the hell that you're living out is the hell you created.
That's it. That's it. It's exactly that. They themselves are makers of themselves. God said that very clearly, I thought, didn't you?
I did.
I mean, how else can you explain it? If as you think, you are. I mean, just change what you're thinking, and then you'll be what you think you are. Actually, it's keeping it simple is really the difficult thing. I mean, it is simple. I mean, it is difficult to see it as being as simple as it actually is. And so people get discarded about it. They don't really know how to approach it. But if you'll just sit in the silence and just go over what it is we have been telling you about, just being aware of what you're allowing yourself to think about, and then remember, blessed is the man that does not condemn himself for that which he has allowed. So you're set free right there. Now, choose this day differently, I hope. Wouldn't you say?
I would say, and going back to what was just said, you sit in the silence, think about the life you want to live, and begin living from that. Now, just because it doesn't appear to happen instantaneously doesn't mean that it's not working. You took 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years to get in your current state. To move out of that state, it can be almost instantaneously. We know that that happens. But for many of us, it may take a little more time to pour in these new ideals, whether it be of these talks or Neville's lectures or whatever, to change your mind, to change your world. But just because it doesn't happen instantaneously doesn't mean that it's not working. It means that you have to continue to work it until you bring about the desired manifestation.
Yes, it's exactly it. I mean, my greatest problem in all of this was just being patient with myself. I mean, it does take discipline to sit in the silence, and you're worthy of that discipline to sit in the silence. Do so. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to tell anybody what you're doing. Nobody needs to know what you're doing. Just do a thing, and you shall have the power. And that's the power, not a power, but the power. So it will come to pass what you're thinking. That alone should be enough to waken you to the dangers that you're allowing yourself to participate in by thinking things that are not lovely and of good report. You're given a choice. Take it. Now, can you say?
I would say, and going back to sitting in the silence, when you get this down, sitting in the silence doesn't mean always setting. When you begin to understand, you can quiet your mind anywhere, as Mr. Lindell will attest. So when we talk about sitting in the silence, first it may take on a sitting posture or laying down posture, a posture where you're comfortable. But pretty soon, you'll be in public and you'll be doing your daily business and so forth, and you'll be able to take a moment and just go into the silence and reflect upon something and think about what it is that you want and begin to instantly begin to manifest that thing into your reality, because you will understand that the silence is within you and it's just you going within. So when we say sitting in the silence, we're not really speaking of a posture, but it can be. But you can be on the go and just take a moment and get quiet and reflect upon I am.
You know, there are things you could tell them that would help them. But at the same time, because of their conditioning to the ongoing drama, it will be unbelievable. And so you don't actually get into that, because then they'll be wanting to copy what you're saying. And it doesn't work that way. You have to experience it first person. That's all this is about, is to get you to experience first person awakening, because that's what it is about. It's about arouse thyself, O Lord. Why sleepest thou? Why would they have that for us if it wasn't in us that they're talking about? And you're told that your whole vast world is the self pushed out, emotion, movement out from. What are you moving out into your world of experiencing? And when you see what you're sending out, you'll definitely want to change it. And that's what you're told: change your mind, change your world. And you're also told, you turn to me, I'll turn to you. That's God, an invitation by God to you to turn to him. It doesn't say about religious. It doesn't say a religious man, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is it. It doesn't say about anything, no parameters at all. Every man, because there's only one man, and all of us are that same man. Jesus in you, as you, doing as you think you are. Simple as that. Keep it simple like that, and you'll remember it. And if you remember it, hey, you might even do it, right?
Absolutely. You said something that when you give so much that people will tend to copy, and it's so true. People don't mean to, but it's like somebody will say, I manifested $1,000, and they say, I did this. And then so people will want particulars. Well, how did you manifest that $1,000? Because they believe that if they do the exact same thing that that person did, that they'll get the exact same manifestation. But what Neville did and brought about his manifestation may not be the exact same thing that you do to bring about your manifestation, because as Mr. Lindell will so often say, this is a first-hand experience. And you trying to live from somebody else's experience, what you're going to find is that it's not going to work for you. You got to discover your relationship with the divine within you.
Yes. And look at it this way. In the forest of thousands of trees, you could not find two leaves that are the same. Even if all the trees were the same type of tree, they would not have two leaves the same. God doesn't make duplicates. Single. That's what you're to be. Singleness of mind. Not double-minded. Because you're told, do not let the double-minded man think he will do anything worthy of his attention. And that's what you're looking for, what's worthy of your attention, as you think you are worthy of your attention. Do so, and you'll find so for yourself so, wouldn't you say?
I would say, and the thing is, you spoke about let's say thousands upon thousands of trees in the forest, and no two leaves are the same. But God has made no duplicates in anything in nature. A grain of sand, a blade of grass, a snowflake, a raindrop. There's no duplicates in any of it. Each one is unique, just like each one of us is unique. So even when we follow the patterns that's given to us, our experience is going to be different from everyone else's. Maybe similar, but different.
Yeah, that's it. It is the difference that makes the difference, and you know the difference that makes the difference if you'll focus on it. And all that takes is just sitting in the silence. And I know, like I said, I understand nobody's paying attention all the time, but the more, the better. Because what has your attention has your life. What are you paying attention to? That's all you have to ask yourself. What am I paying attention to? Is it worthy of my attention, or am I just wasting my time? And believe me, people tell me, well, I won't have time to just sit around and contemplate and meditate. Well, you will. There will be a time when you will have to deal with your own inner conversations. Why not make it now and start enjoying life the way we were intended to, right?
You know what? You just said something, and I actually love it, so I want to go back to it. You said there will come a time. Many people come to God, teachings of Neville, maybe come across one of our talks because they're in crisis. And you said something. Why not do it now? Why not do it before you're in crisis? Why not begin learning how to use these principles, use what God's given us when you don't need it, before it gets to a time when you will need it? And I promise each and every one of us, there will come a time that we'll need it.
Yep, that's it. There will come a time. And now is the time. Don't let it pass away unused wisely, because that's what it's about. Thinking makes it so. What are you thinking about? And that's what will be so. You like it? Great. If you don't, then change what you're thinking. It's that simple, isn't it?
It's so simple that we'll trip over it.
Yeah, really. I did an awful lot of tripping.
They talk about the block of stumbling, and it says that for that block, for the person that falls on it, they shall be broken, but the one that it falls upon should be crushed. And far too often we let the cares of this world overtake us.
That's it. You're being chosen for because you're not choosing. It's as simple as that. You suffer what you allow. Why not have it lovely and of good report? And then that's what you'll be experiencing. This is an over and over and over talking about this over and over. I understand, but it is your life we're talking about. Your everydayness life. You have the ability. It's not even ability. You have what you need nearer than hands and feet to think feelingly on your own behalf. Do so consistently, persistently, as you can. Like I said, look, I'm more than aware that you're not aware all the time. I understand that because I suffered that also. But as you do so, you'll know to do so better and better, and it becomes automatic because actually it was all put on automatic, all of it. Your spirituality, everything is on automatic because you're told very plainly that if you think on lovely and a good report, you will experience lovely and a good report. Isn't that simple enough?
It is. It goes back to what you were saying just a moment ago about everything's on automatic. Now, the question is, what do we have on autopilot? Constantly thinking about negative events and the woes of the world? Or are we thinking of lovely and good report? And like you said, no, we can't do it all the time. But as we often say, more is better.
That's it. Actually, that's it. Even a little bit has a consequence to it. And that's either way. Just a little bit of feeling better than the best you've yet known. Just think of what is better than what you're already experiencing. That's all you have to do, and keep it up. Stay in that mood, in that success. And you have successes every day, but you don't take credit for them. You don't realize you're making your own world, moment by moment. And when you're happy, that's you did that. You did that because you thought that. As you think, you are. It's that simple. Just focus on that. You have to get it down deep enough that you actually can remember it on whenever you want. All the time, really, because you're on all the time, and you're creative in what you're thinking feelingly about is creative, lovely, and of good report or not. It's always your choice. Choose this day. Isn't that it?
It is it. And I want to speak to the person that's dealing with illness or financial troubles or loneliness or whatever. Who's doing the thinking for you? And what I mean by that is it the doctors that say that this thing is terminal? Is it the person that says that you'll never be loved? Is it the financial bank statement that says, I only have enough money to get by? Who's doing the thinking for you?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Take over. That's what you're supposed to do. It is your responsibility to you. That's all you're responsible for is to you. If you got you working right, everything in your world works right. If you're not thinking right yourself, then nothing in your world's going to be going right either, because it's as you think, you are, you do, you have, you be. And if that doesn't scare you enough into thinking feelingly about whatever it is you're thinking about, to actually pay attention to it. But that's what it is, paying attention. Attitude awareness and imaginational control is what you were given. Use it wisely, wouldn't you say?
I would say, and as we're talking about imaginational control, think about this virtual reality that we call life. We have all of these dimensions, virtual realities collapsing upon one another, but the one that you're responsible for is you, as Mr. Linda will often say. So you're not responsible for the dreams of others. You're ultimately responsible for as you think you are. You're controlling your dream. You're awakening from your dream. So focus on how to design, create, elevate your dream.
That's what you're doing. If you're doing it, you're doing it. And you have the power to do it. Just turn to it. The whole thing is starting. Get started. And what are you getting started on? Ordering your conversations aright. If you're told that if you will order your conversations aright, you will be shown salvation. That's the answers, the solutions, whatever you're looking for actually is looking for you. All you have to do is stand and see the victory of what you're thinking feelingly about, lovingly about, and you'll experience it. How are you told to pray? You're told, when you pray, believe that you have already received that for which you're asking. Because, let's face it, you're asking God, the giver of all things. All things. Now is the appointed hour. Choose this day. That's what we're doing, isn't it?
It is. It is. Jesus said, the harvest, people talk about labors. He says, but the time is now. And as Mr. Linda will often say, now is the time for salvation, experiencing heaven on earth.
That's right. If it isn't heaven, what else is it? I hear all the time that it's hell. And actually, you're dreaming it up. Because God told you that it's good and very good. So you didn't take his word for it. You took your word for it. Do you think that's right?
It is right.
I mean, you're doing it to yourself. You're not doing it to someone else. See, if you cast a spell upon someone else, you're also in that spell that you just said, because you're the one who's thinking and feeling your way into your experiencing. And you can do so better, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what we must understand. There's only God, as Mr. Linda will often remind us. If you're doing it to another, you got to understand that you're doing it to yourself.
That's it. That's it. As you think you are. It didn't say as you think of yourself you are. It says as you think you are. So anything you're sending out will come back to you. As you sow, you reap. And you are sowing when you're thinking feelingly within yourself. You're sowing the seeds of your future experiences. So I'd kind of watch what it is I'm sowing, wouldn't you?
I would. Now, understand, just because it didn't happen instantaneously doesn't mean it's not happening.
No, it's not being served up by McDonald's. I really found that really most people are having the biggest problem just by not looking for the good and very good. You have to look for it. Seek and you shall find. You have to look for the good, because when you're thinking about the negatives, that's what you're looking for. And what you're looking for is looking for you. So you're found. Why would you want to be found by your negative? Be found by your lovely and the good report. And that's what you're told to think upon. Why wouldn't you do so? If God told you to think upon it, why wouldn't you do so? I mean, I catch myself all the time. I have to correct myself. many times a day. That it's actually that close to you because you have this body, and this body is always making demands upon you, and so it has to be taken care of. So there's a lot of you to think negative about, but just remember that as you think, you are. So just look at the bright side. There's always a bright side. If you're looking for it, you find it. Isn't that right?
It is right. Romans 8:28 says, all things are working together for the good of those who love God. And W. Clement Stone says, I believe that everybody is conspiring for my good. What would happen if we took on those attitudes of seeking the best in every situation? What you're going to find is that people won't disappoint you. People are going to start reflecting to you what it is that you're expecting from them.
You're in control even if you're out of control. All we're suggesting is that you consciously take control of what you're thinking and feeling. If you do that, you'll change your mind, you'll change your world, and for the better. Because you're choosing what you're thinking. And that's all you have to do. I mean, come on. You go out in your garden to pick something to eat. You don't pick a weed to eat. You pick the vegetable. Well, that's a choice. And that's what you're doing all the time. You're making choices. But are they in your benefit? That's all you want to know. Is what I'm thinking, feelingly about, beneficial to me? And if it's not, why are you thinking about it? Because it'll be experienced just the same as anything else would be experienced, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. And so the question is, what about heaven? What would you say to the listener in closing?
It's right with you. Claim it. Show up. That's what you're doing when you're sitting in the silence there. You're showing up. Here I am. Tell me what I need to know. And you will be told, because you're told that you receive not because you ask not. Why not ask? I did, and I haven't been sorry. It took me years to get it, but I don't regret a second of it. But it didn't need to take that long if you'll focus on what you're thinking about and registering it positive, not negative. And that's what you'll experience. Happy days are right with you. Start enjoying them, right?
Absolutely. You spoke about asking. And I want to say this, when you go into silence in your acts, what happens is you get in tune for the answer. Now, I'll say this also. The answer may not come in that moment of the silence, but what has happened is you've planted the seed of being open to the answer. And what's going to happen is throughout your day or throughout the week or whatever, something's going to drop in your spirit about that thing that you asked about. And then you open and quicken it.
That's it. Open and quicken. That's what I got first off from Neville. If you don't open it and quicken it, you don't know what the benefits in it are. That's it.
I appreciate you like always, and good stuff.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
We'll talk to you later.
People just want to know what you did to be successful.
The 4 CDs that I have out there, it's all there. If you took any one of the CDs and actually followed through on what you understood there, you could change your mind, change your world. All you have to do is just listen to the CDs. It's always reiteration and reiteration.
I want to go back to the 4 CD set. Go to metaphysicalarttheater.com. We can only mail in the U.S. right now, but for those who are outside the U.S., we can send you a digital bundle with everything, so you'll get the enjoyment without waiting for it in the mail. Matter of fact, those who are in the U.S., if you would rather have the digital copies, we can do that as well. metaphysicalarttheater.com.